Well, I'm wondering, I feel like they are reconscripting the medical doctors and nurses with this COVID thing. Do you think that's occurring? Because it's a lot of this is coming from the medical community.
Well, what I see is a complete betrayal of any scientific
Mm-hmm.
standard of anything.
True.
But we've been seeing that for years. I mean, think back to the 60s and 70s and 80s, which I lived through. And what you see there is a gradual loss of integrity in the scientific community.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that panic and fear sells, and that the media is being corrupted by profit motives. And so, I don't know if you all remember this, but back in 1974, when I was graduating from high school, there was this fear-mongering panic that, oh, we're going into an ice age. We're all going to freeze to death. We have global cooling going on. Okay. It was nothing but BS. It was just, mindless profiteering. And, the boy cried wolf. Everybody was reading all these books about how it was cooling and we were entering a new ice age and you'd better get busy and invest in wool parkas. And then, 20 years down the pike, I guess they figured everybody had forgotten, right? But 20 years down the pike, 1994, we start hearing about, there's going to be global warming. We're all going to die. The earth is going to fry. Or we're going to have rising sea levels. There'll, be no land left. It'll be just a little bit of Mount Everest. Everybody proud of it. And so all of this stuff is just profit-driven, pure fear-mongering, people trying to make a name for themselves, people trying to sell products, news companies trying to, sell papers and sell advertising for their news slots. I mean, this has nothing to do with science. This has nothing to do with any kind of true, honest, factual reporting. This is bogus BS. And your Shinola sensor should just go, bah, bah, bah. And when, Pope Francis and the rest of these Green New Deal people get out there, you should, number one, go, the New Deal wasn't a New Deal, it was a fraud scheme. Okay, so if there's any New Deal, it's probably a worse fraud scheme. That should kind of click in there. But then you figure out that what they're really aiming at is taxing basic functions,
Mm-hmm.
eating, drinking water, having heat in your home, being able to move about and drive your car, things like this. They're trying to tax these basics. And that's evil.
Yes, it
That is absolutely purely evil. Anybody who wants to tax you for eating or sleeping or defecating or doing any of the natural functions is evil. Let's just get that straight. I don't care what their excuse is, but that is what they're trying to arrive at with this Green New Deal. Because through the carbon taxes, they'll be able to tax consumerism of any kind. You'll be paying them to poop. You'll be paying them to breathe. You'll be paying them for drinking water. They'll have you both sides coming into and out of. You'll be paying for polluted water to drink because they will add stuff to it to stunt you and cripple you and make a profit on their aluminum manufacturing. And then they'll turn around and they will charge you double for the waste management on the other end of it. These people are evil. They are self-serving. They are motivated by nothing but profit motives. They have no sense of humanity. They're just greedy, ugly monsters. And unfortunately, we have tolerated these corporations and we haven't destroyed the corporations, and we need to. We need to start making examples of some very large corporations and just smash them. Take them apart, sell them, do whatever we need to do. Because the law is, the real law, the public law, is that any corporation that's caught engaging in unlawful, not legal, unlawful activity is subject to immediate liquidation. So if you catch a corporation indulging in fraud, that's unlawful. If you catch a corporation indulging in schemes to enslave, that's unlawful. If you find a corporation that is trying to deprive you of your right to free speech, that's unlawful. And I want to point out that most of these social media websites and these browsers were all developed by DARPA.
Yep.
So if these are being developed as weapons and used to solicit private information for surveillance systems, that is violation of your privacy. And that's unlawful too, which means that DARPA needs to go down the drain along with Google, Facebook, every other social media or browser website that has kept any tracking data on anything that you ever looked at and reported it to some agency. All these agencies also need to go. Because remember, those agencies started in the wake of the Civil War. The very first agencies were like the US Marshals, which were a form of Pinkerton type service that was hired by the federal government. Okay, and DOJ, again, it's an agency. It's a subcontractor of a subcontractor. It has no authority related to our government at all. It's just standing there acting under color of law and causing problems. The FBI, FEMA, BATF, these are all agencies. The IRS, agencies, subcontractors of subcontractors being hired to do dirty work for our subcontractors. They're actually 3 layers down. We don't need them. We need to get rid of them. They need to go away. And there were over 350 of them that were created by FDR, and the proliferation that went on there. And it just costs us a tremendous amount of money. It doesn't provide any worthwhile public service. It's just a flack organization and a dirty works organization for the actual culprits who are misdirecting all these agencies to do all these terrible things. I mean, this past week, I just used the FBI as an example and, just lined out some of the things that the FBI has done. But you can believe it or not, but the US Marshals have done things that were just as culpable and nasty. The BATF has done things even worse. I mean, you can go down the list and you can see that these agencies are being misdirected and they are being used to do criminal activities.
Absolutely.
And the moment they cross that line, get rid of them. Corporations are not allowed to operate and perform unlawful tasks. I'm sorry. And as I pointed out, the BLM and the FBI and numerous other agencies are all owned by a holding company doing business as the United States government. And nobody knows who the United States government is and who's its board of directors. So how does that make you feel when you go to bed at night that some nameless, faceless, formless holding company with a board of directors that might be anybody from anywhere is directing these agencies and misdirecting them and telling them what to do and how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but that makes me hopping mad.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me want to grab all the members of Congress and put them in a very small elevator and then push the down button.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you pointed out in an article this week, the members of Congress have absolutely zero accountability, no fiduciary responsibility.
No, once they're elected, they have carte blanche. They can go do whatever they want to whomever they want for as long as they want until the next round. Or as Lysander Spooner put it, what was the quote, that being able to choose your master once every 4 years still leaves you a slave?
Yeah, that was a good quote. And you said that the members of Congress, 1/3 of them are, oh shoot, I'm not going to remember it. Yes, and the other 2/3 are what?
Criminals.
Criminals. Right. So that takes care of the whole coop.
Well, it really does, because they have to know how they're operating. I mean, they, within their own organizations, have got to know that on one side of it, in one session, they're operating as the municipal government and passing all this municipal code and all that crap, right? And on the other hand, they have to know that they put on another different hat. And over here, they're operating as the territorial government. They have to know that. So that makes them crooks. They're engaged in a fraud scheme, a constructive fraud scheme, enriching themselves, evading their constitutional obligations to us. So either they're stupid and they don't get it, and they're just kind of bobbling about thinking, oh, okay, well, I guess it's my job to legislate. I better legislate something. And they don't really get what they're doing. All right, they're mentally incompetent. Or they know what they're doing. They know that it's criminal and they're doing it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So what other conclusion is there?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, well, thank you very much for that.
Learn how to become an American state national or American state citizen by navigating to www.theamericanstatesassembly.net. Links to Anna's articles and resources can be found in the video description box. Thank you for subscribing, liking, sharing and commenting.